Anyone else? Then I have something I want to share with you. Turn the camera off.
He asked twice.
Okay, Lonnie. Matthew 1:1. Like I said, without being a Bible teacher or Bible scholar. Matthew 1:1. You have it right there. These are the generations of Yeshua the Messiah, son of Abraham, son of David. End of story. I can make my case from the first verse of the New Testament. David was not monogamous, neither was Abraham. Throw in Boaz, throw in Solomon, throw in all the heroes of the faith and the messianic genealogy, and you have without what Yahweh calls pleasing, kosher, and blessed. Man calls dirty, selfish, lustful, hurtful to women. So we have two voices. Now, the way plural marriage has been practiced, it hasn't always been kosher. But then again, aren't you glad that I'm not in your monogamous home either? And I'm not investigating all the monogamous homes to see how things are really conducted in those homes. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. All have sinned and come short of the glory of Yahuwah. The problem is not monogamy and the problem is not plural marriage. The problem is the human heart. All have sinned and come short. And anything man touches, or any institution that man is involved in, ultimately he is going to pollute and he is going to be sinful to him. You follow me? So no matter what man does, the problem lies where? Yeshua taught us. Out of the abundance of the heart comes what? Blasphemy, fornication, adultery. Out of the abundance of the heart. Polygamy is not evil. The way men have practiced it is evil. Monogamy, and P.S. If we go to the courts of the land or any land, I don't care from Switzerland to Swaziland or any local municipality. Mostly, however, in the West. Let me ask you a question. Out of all the restraining orders and domestic violence cases that are on the dockets in our local court system, how many of those are polygamy?
None.
Less than 1%, which would make it 0. All the restraining orders, all the domestic violence, all those cases, they are all happy monogamous marriages. So, monogamy is blessed if the people are blessed. Plural marriage is blessed if the people are blessed. So it is the people and the character, like Dr. King said, it's the character. It's the content of the character. It's not the color of the skin, and it's not the lifestyle. There are two lifestyles. There are no alternate lifestyles approved of in the Bible. 0. Gay, schmay, lesbian, none of that stuff. There are two alternate lifestyles approved of in the Bible. One is monogamy, and one is plural marriage. That's it. Those are the two. Or celibacy. But you should have said most people do not have the gift of celibacy. So if you don't have it, don't try to do it. Because that's the worst thing you can do. So I wanted to share with you, I guess because of the format, and Brother Jackson oversees the blessed format, you feel free to do this, okay? And just share it, ask me a question. In our congregation, you'd probably be ushered down. Even though we're in a home group now, where this book caused us to leave the big system, where everything's nice and polished and everything. So we've been humble, but I've never been happier. The joy of Yahuwah is our strength. It's not having all the right doctrine, being in the right denomination. It's the joy. And right now I have joy unspeakable and full of glory because I've tapped into the mind of Yahuwah that is so opposite the mind of man. Mm-hmm. So, a perfect example, I don't want to get sidetracked because some of you, your jaw will drop. I'd rather, at this point, keep your jaw up. Okay? That little girl that gave birth to Yeshua, that man, Joseph, the stepfather, would be in jail. Under modern sexual statutory rape laws, he would be in jail. And Mary would be looked at as a harlot. Why? Because she was underage.
Well, she was 14 and Joseph was same age.
Right. What happens to men today who sleep with 14-year-old girls?
Yeah.
The jails are full of people that society has called predators. And the Bible, they may be a predator, they may not. But that's not the criteria. Man's laws are not the criteria.
Not to mention the Essenes who made a habit of doing that to help
those that were underage and found in those circumstances.
Mhm.
Habit of doing what?
Habit of doing what?
Oh, the habit of marrying women that were in difficult circumstances for the sake of helping them, to giving them a name, giving them respectable income, and primarily, that was the primary reason. We get the idea that Essenes were celibate, but the only Essenes that were celibate were a small sect of them. By and large, they married the second time out of empathy for the situation they found the daughters of Jerusalem in.
And you know, we cover that in the book. There are so many reasons why plural marriage can be beneficial to women. But because of the way we've been socialized, we throw them and they become wardens of the state. Women that can be helped in Torah by a man who lives Torah. But instead they're thrown to the state because remember, the state is in bed with the church. We can't talk about restoration and coming out of the church and then, yes, we'll come out of the church, but not in the area of human sexuality. In that area, we're going to stay in the church. And don't you come in here, because you're a guest, you're a visitor, don't come into our meeting in our building and tell us what our bedroom is our bedroom. That's true, but think about this. Every time you go to the state for a marriage license, you are practicing polygamy. You are taking a third party into your marriage that can give the woman the authority over the man the divorce on demand, and so by definition there are three parties in your marriage, and Caesar gives, Caesar takes. What Caesar gives, marriage is when a man and a woman have a lifetime covenant of fidelity and faithfulness. That is marriage. When you allow the state to license what Yahuwah only can license, you are practicing a perverted form of polygamy. Up is down, left is right. You got to make sure you get your definitions from this book and not from tradition. Let me share a couple of things with you. Stop me if you like, okay? I know you are anxious to understand the revelation and restoration of Israel through the pattern of scriptural patriarchal families that our Abba established since the beginning of all things. Without the order of patriarchy, plural, since the beginning of time, nothing would have occurred in Israel. Abba is an Abba, the father is an Abba of El, an El of order and perfection. According to Malachi 3:6, which says what? I am Yahuwah, I change not. Yahuwah never changes. This is confirmed in Hebrews 13:8. Yeshua the Messiah, the same yesterday, today, and forever. He never changes. Meaning, what he cursed back then, he still curses. What he blessed back then, he still blesses. What he allowed and taught and commanded our forefathers, we must continue being acceptable before his eyes and teach the same things. If we teach what society told us to teach regarding human marriage and freedom and sexuality, we become ambassadors of the state and not of the scriptures and Yahuwah and the kingdom. And what does Joshua say? Choose you this day whom you will serve. As for us in our house, we will serve Yahuwah. If his ways have been changed, then by definition, he in like manner has changed. Sadly, this is what we have been poisoned about during our exile into the nations, by a conspiracy between the church and the state. The matriarchal ruach of Isabel, Jezebel, promoted by the conspiracy of the church and the government, has trapped most believers, sadly. Not all, but most. Now, many will not argue, many even here may not argue that the Tanakh, the Old Testament, that the pattern of the father was patriarchal or plural marriage. That is clear from the study of the Torah and the First Covenant Tanakh. Of course, patriarchal living can be made up of monogamy as well, as modeled by Isaac, Yitzchak. So the will of the Bible, what the scriptures teach, is not go out and do plural marriage. It doesn't teach that. The scriptures don't teach go out and practice monogamy.